It looks like you ran afoul of something with wicked claws. What did that to you?
Bandits.
The bandersnatch.
What are you doing?
It needs to be purified by someone with evaporating skills, or it will fester and putrefy.
I'd rather you didn't. I'll be fine as soon as I wake up.
What do you call yourself?
Alice.
The Alice?
There's been some debate about that.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, I'm SocioPsycho and this is Mob Reviews, and today we are going to look at Between Me and the Night. This is created by Rain Dance LX, available for PC and Mac. It is a 2D side-screen scroller adventure puzzle experience where you play as a young man who has some sort of dementia, would probably be the best representation. How well does it manage to pull off what it is attempting to, and that's what we will dive into here today. And we'll begin in the options menu. Now when it comes to screen resolutions, there is a wide berth of screen resolutions, so that is definitely appreciated. A few different languages even, although there's not a lot of talking or dialogue in the game, most being text-based. And the music in the game has a slider, which is definitely nice. The music in the game does help propel forward and not a over eccentric experience throughout the world, but rather okay, I see where we are, I get the theme, but it's not anything that's going to really put you and instill you into a moment of epic proportion or heavy emotional gravity of a situation. When we come to controls, you cannot rebind any of these keys, and that's a little unfortunate. So if the buttons that they have placed here are not adequate for you for whatever reason, that could very well be a deal breaker. The game has been running at 60 frames per second and have not had any tearing, clipping, or crashing. Performance-wise, the game has run rather smooth. So when we jump into the game, the first thing I want to talk about is the world. The artistic direction that the developers decided to take this experience in is actually quite nice. You have this contrast in between a nice, calm family and a boy who has dementia or is losing his mind, or the thin line between sanity and insanity. It doesn't really clarify any of those, but the art direction does do rather well to give you a little House of Horrors type feel of bizarro world proportions. The art style and art directions and the different realms and other world elements that they put into the game is actually quite nice. While the basic movements and mechanics of the game is quite simplistic in how you interact with the world, the new experiences that divide and change up rapidly between how you experience the world, how you understand the story, and how you get through the game in your visualization is quite refreshing, because you don't know exactly what you're going to expect or see next, and it can either be a little spooky perhaps as a giant monster, or maybe just a giant kitty for some reason that will eat you. Whatever the case may be, each art directions that you end up finding all fit in to tell a narrative throughout the game. But when we talk about narrative, which is reference to the story, there really isn't that much of a story here. As you progress through the game, you're given slight clues, such as your family is going through some sort of divorce. You have an older brother who is a rebellious rock star, and you as the younger brother kind of get the shit end of that stick. Your parents, as I said, are going through a divorce, there's fighting, there's all these sort of responsibilities put on you, and it's this mix in between a understanding that the environment is not exactly one of a loving and caring one, but it doesn't go any further than just that. There is no emotional connection between you and the character outside of any personal connection that you already or may have due to your individual lifestyle and background of your own childhood. You don't really experience any of the violence, the fights, the anger, the embarrassment, the confusion, the mistrust, the hurt that a family being torn apart by a divorce, by the anger, by the hate would typically go through. Now the game not really necessarily holding your hand in a story manner, or at least allowing you to explore and unravel what is happening, even in the most simplistic area such as notes that are being added to a game. You can see in first-person walking simulators that the best description that many of them use is a story that is unfolded to the player by the notes that they pick up throughout the world. There's not even that implementation here in this game. Notes don't excel the narrative of the story, the violence, the anger, the hate, the trust, the lust, the love, the loss, whatever emotional climax or direction that the game is attempting to go for. There is nothing other than the own personal player's understanding of what they see to help narrate that. Now that takes a huge toll because you never really know what the character is supposed to be thinking, because it's always based 100% solely on the own individual player. And if the individual player has no reference, has no background, has no emotional tie due to nostalgia or reference due to the pain in their own life, they will not be able to connect with this character. There is no bridge, no middle ground area. But beyond there just not being any direction that it needs to be taken by the story in order to understand what's happening and to further enjoy your progression through the game, to further reward you in a sense of the completion of, will the grass on the other side of the fence be greener once I get there? Will there be light at the end of the tunnel? Whatever euphemism you want to actually use, there is no real question installed into the player's mind that anything is going to get better, that there's any reason to continue the adventure, to push, to deal with the puzzles that you experience. And unfortunately, this ties in rather heavily to the way you actually interact with the world, the puzzles of the game. Now, the game is a puzzle/adventure experience, and the adventuring aspect of combining items into your inventory and using them with items on the world, but they don't do it in a manner that I would have liked to see, but that's rather personal preference. They do it in a scavenger quest orientation and exploration. So it's a double down. You need to explore every crevice of every inch of this entire house and wherever else you adventure off to find the items that you need in order to use those items in a very straightforward mannerism of accomplishing your goal. If you come to a lock, you're going to need a key to get through that lock. If you can't find a key, or you do find a key, you use the item on the lock, you take off the lock, you open up the shed, and now there's the lawnmower which you need to mow your lawn. But then the lawnmower doesn't work, so apparently it needs gas. So you need to go to the garage to get the gas. You get the gas, you bring it back, and it's a sort of simplistic element in the puzzle category where one thing ties into the next. There's really no intrinsic complicated puzzles into the game. You're not going to find little mini games spread out that test your mental creativity or knowledge. The complexity of the difficulty in the game is just, do you see what item you are looking for while you walk into this room? And that's about it. To make matters worse, upon the exploration of finding out what you need to do, as it ties into the story, that it never tells you really where you need to go, what you need to do next. So because you don't really know, more times than not, where your next step is, where your next puzzle is, what you're supposed to do or acquire down your next line, can leave players quite frequently, and I did check the Steam forum pages to make sure it wasn't just me, so it leaves players quite frequently with a question of, where do I go now? I am confused and I do not understand where I'm supposed to go at this point. Now, if the game said that you need to find an item and it gave you a directive upon what you need to do, but finding that directive or getting to that directive was very difficult, such as maybe a real scavenger area, I would understand. But giving the player no understanding of what needs to happen, what the next step necessarily is, does not increase in a difficulty, but rather just a short-sighted frustration, a short-sightedness on the development side and a frustration on the player side because of it, where you never really obtain the experience that you should have, because you don't have the goal of where I'm supposed to go now, what am I supposed to do, why am I supposed to do this, why should I care about doing this, what is the point of doing this? The design of the game, of how it ties itself together in the puzzle sense, is simplistically easy. You find the pieces that you need. Oh, I have item A, B, and C. They obviously all go together to allow me to get through this very obvious area where I need to go through. But then it takes you 20-30 minutes to find those parts, perhaps. And that's if it is obvious to you. It may not be. Everybody's different. Something that's obvious to me is not to you, and vice versa in another area. And what happens, what that leads you down to, is not a joy of exploration upon a scavenging quest based on clues and understanding of what rationality or randomization of the system upon where you need to find something, but rather just a frustrational annoyance that the game does not respect your time as a player. And when it comes to the game mechanics itself and not respecting your time, this is huge in the actual fact that they do not have a comparable save system within the game. Now I will quote, and I'll show you up on the screen here, that the basic save system creates a save file every time you change scene, but the scene, what they're talking about, is actually chapters. So your chapters can be an hour and a half, 2 hours, half hour, depends on the individual player. All the objects return to their original position, all progress is lost. And yes, they are working on saving or creating a save system that allows the player to save upon exit. But if you play for a half hour, an hour, get through these puzzles, and then decide, I need a break, or you have to take care of some life stuff, or you just get tired, whatever the reason is, the game does not respect your time in a base element. It says that we don't care that you've lost all this progression, all this time. Now I've checked, and the game has come out in Steam for early access in September of 2015. You would really think that having a save system in the game that actually respected the player's time would be one of your priorities. And it's rather annoying that it's not. So at the end of the day, what is there to really say about this game? And unfortunately, while the art direction and the silent movie style, theme, and story that they went for is intriguing, it doesn't tie itself together in a comparable manner that allows the player to jump in an immersion-filled experience of relativity or understanding of what the player-child character is going through. Tie this with a game mechanic which is heavy on scavenger quest and very simplistically mind-numbingly easy upon the puzzle element of combine A with B and B with C, congratulations, you completed the puzzle. Your main adventure and point is scavenging in a world where you're not even sure what you're supposed to be scavenging most of the times, and an experience that really offers nothing to the player. You don't really feel as if you're progressing because you don't know where you are trying to accomplish, or where you're trying to end up. With no goal in sight, with no understanding of where you've been, where you are, and where you're going, you have no reason to go. You have no reason to move forward, to try harder, to be successful. It's just a artistic, abstract, art style visualization experience that is not really worth the annoyance of the overdone exploration. The mere fact that they want $15 at this time for this game is ludicrous to me. $15 for this game just seems like pure insanity. You don't even have a comparable save system within your game. You don't respect the player's time, and now you want to ask for $15? So ladies and gentlemen, I think it's pretty obvious what I'm going to say. Hell no, I will not recommend this game. It's intriguing, but the mechanics and the story fall flat on its face, and they take the player down with it. I have been SocioPsycho, this has been Mob Reviews, I hope this has been helpful to you, and I'll see you next time.